Greetings, Zen Yetians. Was that normal? I recorded an assault.
Here's another one. How about that?
What were we talking about? Oh, rock smashing. Oh, couldn't it have been firecrackers? Actually, that's not rightly so. Whoever thought of that, you're a dumbass. It's not firecrackers. The appropriate one was, some people did say it could have been gunfire. It sounded like giant rocks being smashed together, and you can't really pick it up on the camera because it's a tiny little mic. So what you guys are hearing is a pale reflection, a shadow of the actual experience.
Probably like 1/50th.
Yes. I mean, I'm not going to say that my chest vibrated from it, but it sounded, if you've ever worked construction and you've had an excavator drop like a 500-pound rock, that's kind of the reverberation we were getting, was like that there was these huge rocks. Now, people often say that the place is remote. It's so remote. Bear Grylls wouldn't even go there, right?
I don't know.
Well, no, but you hear people, that's what they'll say, like Thinker Thunker in Yellowstone, to make out.
A lot of people exaggerate.
I don't think a lot of people know what remote is. Now, in Maine, we have terrain up here that's pretty damn close to what you find in Alaska. It's remote. The whole, well, to put it in perspective, 12.4 million forested acres, or 12.4 million acres, 98% of that heavily forested. And what do we got? 1.7 million people.
Yeah. Total
population of the state of Maine, and probably better than half of them are in Portland. I mean, it's not like they're spread out evenly over the state. When you go up into the areas that Lady K and I are going to do our research, as people say, the population numbers down there are extremely low, and it's not even towns, it's the township. Right?
Right.
They're unregulated townships. There's no town there. No one's ever made a town in these places. These places have just been logged, and places that Lady K and I are going, some of those places have never been logged, ever. Ever. No one logged them. Not since the glacier. They didn't log them for a couple reasons. One, they were on really inaccessible locations on mountainsides.
Right. Too steep.
Yeah, very steep. And the other reason they didn't log them was there was no commercial value in the wood up there, because if you watch our videos, I'll put the link down here, we'll pitch our videos. Now, I want you guys to go back and look at the places that we're going into to try to understand that not only are these places extremely remote, but the way we're getting in is really probably the only way to get in there. To get in there some other way, you'd have to hike 10, 20 miles. And people are like, whoa, I could hike 20 miles. No. Not where we're at, you couldn't.
Right, because it's not a trail.
No.
It's not a trail. You're having to go underneath branches and all that kind of stuff. It's not clear.
Yeah.
It's kind of difficult.
It's an aerobic workout. You follow me for a mile, and it's not a mile at your high school.
It's an unhappy mile. Very unhappy mile.
Unhappy for some people. I'm kind of happy when I'm doing it. But
yep.
We're crawling over nurse logs and under nurse logs, and you can't be touching shit like this, because if you do, a tree could fall on your head.
Right, that's true. That's true.
So don't I tell people when we go in there, pay attention. Like, I have to instruct people, because the majority of people never go into a spot like that. They don't realize how easy it is to get your ass killed.
Right.
Or maimed. And all you got to do is, I'm tired, and lean up against the wrong tree like that, and you're dead, because 50 feet up, right, the top of the tree will fall on your head. The reason we have all these widowmakers is because the place hasn't been logged. It's a natural,
right.
Just like you'd find if you went into a primordial alpine forest 10,000 years ago. That's the same thing we're encountering there.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Full of animals. Now, the reason for pointing this out is that even if you could get a person in there, you need to understand this happened at 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
I don't care who you are. You're not walking around on the side of that mountain at night. I don't care if you got night vision cameras, FLIRs, I don't care what you got, even if you got a flashlight, because it's so thick and so dangerous that you'd be taking your life into your own hands.
Yeah, you can even, when we heard it, there was no sense in going anyplace, because that would be dangerous. You'd be falling over everything.
Yeah, too dangerous. And there's swamps in there. You'll be up to your knees in water. I mean, sometimes you'll fall into little like quicksand pits. I've fallen in like over my waist in a couple of places. Yeah. So we've got the remoteness, but let's just forget about the last 10 minutes that we've yammered on about how remote the area is. I will have some overlays. I'm not going to give you guys the exact location. Not that it matters, because even if I did give you the exact location, nobody could get in there except us. Bear Grylls could get in there. I'm not even sure Survivor Man would go in there. Maybe. He'd go in there and be miserable for a week and starve to death. I think we're going to go up there sometime this summer and just not take any food and forage off the hillside.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, we could. Once the mushrooms and stuff come up, there are all kinds of neat cucumbers up there.
I know. We could do it.
We'd be shooting red squirrels and frying them up in the frying pan. I totally forgot what I was talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. You're doing a map.
Oh, the map! The rock clacking. Yeah. The pivotal moment in our research that has altered us. Damaged my psyche, actually. It did damage my psyche.
Yeah, he's been freaked out now.
Well, I wasn't freaked out like scared, but like I'm up there thinking, okay, what's smashing these rocks together? Once we concluded that that's what it was. And then when I did the clacking, that Lady K wasn't really, she
didn't have to go there.
She questioned the wisdom of clacking rocks.
Quietly questioned it because I knew you weren't going to really listen, so I didn't try that hard.
But what I did was I clacked like 13 times.
Yeah.
Got 13 clacks back. The 13th clack was extremely loud, like an exclamation point, and then there was a pause and a series of additional clacks, which you can clearly see in the visual representation provided to us by David Ellis of the Olympia Project.
That was really nice.
That guy is really smart. That's what a real breakdown is, instead of a
I
comment.
bet you he has more than a 6th grade education.
I think he does too, and that wasn't a commentary. What David did was he took the audio track of the clacks, me making the clacks, and the response. We actually heard over 100 clacks up there. So once again, what you guys are privy to is just a small slice of what actually occurred while we were on that mountain.
Oh yeah, because I didn't have the recorder yet.
Yeah, we thought Lady K, she had the recorder on, but we didn't quite know how to run it. So the only
That's sweet.
I didn't know how to run it either. So the only sounds that we got were the sounds that we got off my Canon.
Right.
So David took the visual, he managed to get a visual representation of the audio track, and like he said, I don't hear very well. Everybody hears differently. When you put it into a visual track, now you've got a different mechanism of looking at it. It's very much along the lines of what a biologist does with statistical data. We will take raw numbers, which most people can't figure out what those numbers look like in their head, and you'll make a pie chart or a bar graph. So you're taking statistical mathematical data, you're converting it into a visual format that allows people to look at it and understand what's going on better. Gives you another mean of examining it, and that's exactly what's going on when David Ellis took the audio and he converted it into a visual representation. Now, he's done some studying, and he pointed out the fact that what we recorded was not a consistent sound. It had variation.
Whereas a gunshot would be.
A gunshot is very consistent if you think about it. I mean, if you get down to the quantum level, there's fluctuations, obviously, and variations, but bullets, just by their definition, need to be extremely consistent so that you can hit the mark every time.
Right.
Same amount of grain, same bullet, same casing, everything is almost exactly the same. So if I was to sit here with a gun and go bam, 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 the visual representation of that would be extremely uniform and consistent.
Right.
This is not what you're seeing here with this representation of what we recorded. It's not gunfire. Now, for people that talk about it could be firecrackers or fireworks, in Maine, we're not like most of you redneck states where everybody can run around with explosives and blow crap up. When I was a kid, you couldn't get your hands on firecrackers.
Yeah.
Just been very recently.
It's kind of highly regulated here.
A Puritan society with a stick stuck up their butt about fireworks. You can have gasoline, dynamite.
Right.
You can have all kinds of other stuff up here. Guns, you can have all guns you want,
But
but
you're not going to set the woods on fire.
can't have a firecracker. God forbid you should have a firecracker. We used to make them by taking the shotguns apart and taking the gun. My father almost blew his hand off making a firecracker. See, that's what you guys force us to do when you don't let us have explosives. We have to make our own. What was I talking about again?
About you're talking about the consistency and the recordings of gunfire as opposed to the inconsistent, you know.
Anybody watching this video is going to be like watching a train getting derailed over and over and over again.
You'll edit it out.
No, it's going to just leave it just like it is. Not going to edit it at all. So the long and the short of it is, it wasn't gunfire.
Yeah.
The chances of it being firecrackers or fireworks are not impossible, but people don't go up there with fireworks or firecrackers, and it's not because you're worried about the law necessarily. If anybody came by and saw you messing around in their forest, you'd probably you'd probably get the crap kicked out of you. The paper companies own about over half the state of Maine. Well, not quite. Yeah, no, over half. So we got like 12.5 million acres. That's the total state. About 7.4 million acres are owned by the paper company lands. So it's in tree growth. And then out of a proportion of that, there's about 14 massive tracts of land owned by the Department of Conservation. In other words, it's public lands.
Right.
Some of those public lands are preserves in that they'll never be logged. Ever. There's 400 or 500-year-old trees in there if you know where to go and look. Then you got individuals like Quimby who bought a whole township, which is also not being logged. So the point that I'm trying to get across to you guys is that when we get to this location, we have to drive hours to get there. We have to drive hours on a dirt road. We park our car, not really at a dead end, but almost. The only person we stopped there was 20 miles before we got to our location.
Yeah.
The piece of land that we recorded the rock clacking in is close to 5,000 acres. So you're looking at something that's 3.5, almost 4 miles long, a couple miles wide, with an elevation change that goes from 1,300 feet to almost 3,000 feet.
Right.
Cliffs, gullies, you know, and then this type of forest with shits all over the place. No trails. There's this one public trail not too far. Well, it's actually quite a ways from where we're at, but it's almost never used. For all I know, it's not even passable right now.
I don't know.
Well, no, with all the damage, I mean, it's
Right.
probably... So the chances of it being in person is extremely, extremely low. Like, I couldn't do it. I don't think I could do what that thing was doing. And then at 1 o'clock, you guys only heard the 11 o'clock response. At 1 o'clock in the morning, there was 2 more clacks. I wake up in my hammock. I don't know what woke me up. And then a couple hundred feet in the woods, I hear crack, crack. And it was close enough that Luna hopped up in the hammock and looked in that direction. So this wasn't miles away. This was right in the forest where we were camping.
Right.
The other thing that's probably, you know, more or less circumstantial evidence is that we've recorded or documented events up there that were consistent with what the Oklahoma Conservation Wood Ape report. We had all the trees being pushed over,
Yep.
an abnormally high amount of trees being pushed over on a sunny, clear day just in our immediate vicinity. And these were big, big trees.
Right. You know, big crack and boom.
And almost every time you go up there, you've had an eyewitness sighting.
Yep.
And we hear vocalizations of critters that I can't identify. They're not coyotes, in my opinion.
No, it's talking.
There's more than one of them. They'll do whoops. They do this garbled kind of almost like a human talk that we can never track down.
Greeting noise or
What's that?
whatever. There's a greeting type of.
There seems to be a greeting now, yeah.
Yeah.
For better or worse, this has really kind of turned what we're doing, because we've gone from, you know, the trying to get the tracks and trying to get, as they say, the money shot, to trying to communicate with something that appears to be extremely intelligent and totally adept in the forest.
Yeah, it's fun.
Makes us look like we're kindergarten kids. And I'm badass in the forest compared to humans, huh?
I don't know about the intelligence level, things like that. But
I'm saying it's intelligent because
It
it's
is
eluding
intelligent.
us.
Right.
And what responds back to clacks? That's, I mean, on one hand it's mimicry, but there was something added to it.
Right.
It wasn't pure mimicry.
No, it's a communication. It's almost like a playful thing.
And then the next day we also found some little pebbles on some tree logs that were odd. And then further back, that big rock we found.
Yeah, the rock, and then when we had been looking for the origins of that rock clacking, we still, when we were on that hike, we heard more. We heard a
That's
couple
another
more
thing too. We heard
further
more.
down,
We heard
further
more clacking
away.
that next day, right?
There's more faint.
So the long and the short of it is, guys, I am convinced that was something smashing boulders together. And I come to this conclusion based on my intimate knowledge of the area, how unlikely it would be for a person to be up there, how impossible it would be for a person to operate at night in that environment.
Right.
We have the recording, which if I hadn't had the recording, I probably would have second-guessed myself the next day. And then we also have the audio analysis done by David Ellis, which you guys can tell me, but from the looks of his report, I would say he's an expert.
Yes.
He's an expert in this field. What he's done is elegant and quite beautiful, what he's come to. And he's not saying it's rocks. What he is saying is that it's not something that's consistent. Whatever was making these sounds had variation both in residence and what do you say, tempo or something.
I don't remember.
I'm going to put the link down here to the Zen Yeti blog. I will provide the full report from David Ellis.
Yeah, it's awful nice of him to do that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. So once again, I will ask you guys, what do you think it is? And let's not say firecrackers and bullets, because it's not those things.
Right.
It's not a piece of equipment.
And there was no echo. There was not like it was not in a place where
No, it wasn't a
there
long
was
ways
no
away.
echo.
So in amongst here, I'll have a sort of map to tell you like the distances and areas that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
So we're headed back up there soon, aren't we, Lady K?
Yep.
Yeah, and I think we're going to bring peanut butter sandwiches. You habituators! You're habituating! I'll tell you what, when this thing comes out and stands in front of me, I'm going to have to do some apologies. I'll be apologizing to some people, I guess, if I haven't seen the thing yet, so I'm still puzzled by what's going on. But in my mind's eye, I'm seeing something pretty damn big to be smashing rocks together on that mountain.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
No, I don't.
Lady sent me this Bigfoot video from a state, from a town near far from you. I'm providing you with no details. We can't make out much. It seems to be walking like a person. Maybe it's a dude wearing sneakers. Remember, smash my head. Blood gushes out. A fave, sub, subscribe, like our bullshit. We can't tell you guys to click on the ads. Do not click on the ads unless it's actually something you want to click on, because that's illegal for me to tell them to click on the ads.
No.
So don't click on the ads. Okay, we'll wave goodbye like we're on Hee Haw.